People do like the carnivore diet. It was very widely accepted around COVID time, wasn't it? That's when carnivore came alive. It was in like 2020.
You know when I heard about it? Because when Jordan Peterson was talking about how it helped him and his daughter, like basically cure all of their problems.
I remember that because he was adamant that that was what's done it. That exact diet is what's done it, when they didn't actually take into account full other factors of what was going on.
Really simply put, right, we are omnivores, right? Like, we've been proven that we can eat meat and fruit and veg. So why are we trying to like completely get rid of one of them? It makes no sense. Like, we should be having a combination, or if you want to be vegan, fair enough, just make sure you get nutrients in elsewhere. But cutting out vegetables when our body's designed to eat vegetables is stupid.
I'm trying to...
Welcome back to the Perform Well podcast. This is the podcast for you if you're looking for performance and wellness optimization so that you can not only smash your career, but also have a better life, better relationships, and better health. We believe that performance and wellness are yin and yang and work together. So listen in as we dive into topics that are going to help you optimize your life for the better. Episode of the Perform Well podcast, and today we're going to talk about why you shouldn't go carnivore, or why you should in some people's cases.
I mean, people do like the carnivore diet. It was very widely accepted around COVID time, wasn't it? That's when carnivore came alive. It was in like 2020.
You know when I heard about it? Because when Jordan Peterson was talking about how it helped him and his daughter, like basically cure all of their problems.
I remember that because he was adamant that that was what's done it. That exact diet is what's done it, when they didn't actually take into account full other factors of what was going on. Because isn't his daughter still very... She's very strongly carnivore. Like, I read something about it.
No, apparently last... I can never remember the details. I'm not a details guy. But like 3 or 4 years, like she's been on the carnivore and she's only had steak every single day and eggs. And that is it.
You know what it was I read?
Yeah.
I read she got really ill.
Really?
That's what I read. I read she got really ill on the carnivore diet, but didn't disclose the information about getting ill.
Really?
Yeah, but continued to publicly say that it didn't cause any like health implications or any issues like that, which actually brings me on to a very interesting topic. It's about Paul Saladino. If you know Paul Saladino, the carnivore guy who even wrote a book on being carnivore, has actively turned around and recently said that the carnivore diet is causing him health issues.
Well, he was clever about the way he spoke about it, because we both saw the same podcast episode, and he was quite what was it? He didn't dive into carnivore being a problem. He just said that, oh yeah, I just needed a bit more fruit in my diet. That was it. So technically, yeah, he has kind of shut on the carnivore diet because it is no fruit. It's just animal products and shit.
Which I always find interesting though from a carnivore perspective, because when we look at the carnivore diet as a whole, if you don't know what the carnivore diet is, it is literally just eating meat, like solely eating anything that is produced by an animal. Am I right in saying?
Yeah, organs, meat, everything.
Now, question, obviously where they get their vitamins from is normally like from stuff like liver. Yeah, that's kind of where they like to get their vitamins from, is like liver, kidneys. That's where they kind of get it as a byproduct from the animals eating it and then them ingesting it. The only interesting thing I have is fibre. Are there any meats that are actually high in fibre? Because I'm assuming when you go to the bathroom, that's not a pleasant experience.
I can't think of one meat that has fibre in it, actually, to be fair, now that we think about it.
Because that's what I'm really questioning when I heard about the carnivore diet. If they're not eating vegetables or any fibrous food, because they don't have carbohydrates, do they? Well, it's literally just meat only.
Well, the reason why like vegans, for example, struggle to get a lot of nutrients in is because plant-based foods aren't as easily absorbed in our bodies as it is for, like, say, cows, for example, which can absorb fibre and nutrients from food a lot better. So we actually get a lot of nutrients from meat that you wouldn't get from plants. It's more bioavailable. So I can see the argument for why carnivore diet would be better.
But then the big thing that we've had problems with is the preaching of it.
Yeah.
It's a preaching of carnivore to say carnivore is the only diet you should do. Now, one thing for anyone who's thought about going carnivore, going keto, there's two big things that everyone brings up when anyone goes keto or carnivore, and I love this conversation. There's a thing called keto flu, and there's also a thing called carnivore flu, and there is a client who comes down to our gym.
Sorry, mate, I've really messed up the set today. Sorry, guys.
We're just playing around. But there is one client who came down to my gym, and she was going carnivore to lose weight, because, again, it helps you adhere to a calorie deficit if you can just eat meat. And she said she felt violently ill for 2 weeks being on a carnivore diet. Yes.
Imagine it. Imagine having steak for breakfast. Now, a lot of people would say, yeah, that sounds great. I don't think that sounds great. I can't even stomach, like, Weetabix in the morning, let alone steak. Like, but no, carnivore diet, it is definitely it's a cult.
I like where you're going with that, but it's like the keto movement. When the keto movement became huge, that was a cult as well.
Yeah.
So the same thing with any dietary thing. When you're looking at diets are to help you adhere to a calorie deficit or a calorie restrictive diet,
Mm.
because you can't do it by means of having it into your normal diet.
But what's his name again? Paul
Saldino.
Yeah, Paul Saldino. That's the guy. Well, we'll talk about him earlier. One of the reasons why, because we were actually discussing it before, saying that he was demonizing carnivore diet. And I remember in the podcast, he mentioned that it was something to do with his kidneys were not functioning because of the ketosis that he'd been in for like a long period of time. And since introducing fruit, he basically saw a reversal of some of those symptoms. So he was talking about like, you know, introducing carbs is actually not a bad thing.
Well, the thing is, here we're going through with the kidneys is reduced renal function. So reduced renal function is basically where your kidneys are not processing the minerals that you're meant to and excreting them out correctly. So you end up having a build-up of large amounts of minerals in your kidneys that aren't leaving your system. So for example, world's hardest geezer was pissing blood through to acidosis because his kidneys were starting to fail slightly because they weren't being able to pump out the excess of nutrients that he was building up.
And what was his diet?
His was Huel.
Yeah. Plant-based
diet. So it's interesting when you look from different perspectives. But when we talk about the world's hardest geezer, you have to take into account he needs something quick he can eat. And can I just make a point? He wasn't just having Huel. He was eating large meals in the evening. There are videos of him actively eating large amounts of pizza in the evenings to restock. He was only using Huel while he was training. Now, you and I both know, as endurance athletes, when you're doing endurance... Hybrid athletes. When you're doing endurance training, you need something quick and efficient. So whenever you're on a bike or whenever you're running, it's gels. Yes, they're not great on the gut microbiome, I'll be honest.
It depends, actually. Oh, I know, you're right. Sorry, there's actually a new gel formula because we use SIS ones, right?
Yeah.
There's one called Beta Nutrition, I think it's called, or Beta Fuel. Apparently, it's really, really good. It actually doesn't affect your gut the same way, and it actually isn't sticky. Like, for example, SIS gels they're quite sticky, whereas this one, apparently, it's just like water-based.
Well, I used my first SIS gel the other day that literally as I got it, I missed a bit. And you know when you just then have a sticky gel packet in your hand?
You don't even need it for a sprint.
Yeah, all right. I'm going to have it for a sprint. Look,
like 20 hours, yes, 100%. Throw some gels in. But for an hour, is it? Hour and a half?
Hour and a half. No, the whole thing's going to take me like 2.5 hours.
2.5 hours, fair enough. Okay, you might need 1 or 2 gels.
I'll probably need 2, max.
Maybe 2.
I've got 3 already, so I'm going to save the 3
as well.
Yeah, well, I'm going to get some tabs. Anyway, completely off topic there about the carnivore diet, but if you're looking at the carnivore diet, people do talk about gut microbiome. Again, this is an upcoming area that a lot of people are researching, and anyone viewing on this and anyone listening in, stay tuned because me and Nick will be delving deeper into the gut microbiome later down the line once there's been more publications of studies. But there were people saying that people go on a carnivore diet to actually improve their gut microbiome from what I researched. And that was because of the bacteria that you find in meat, and especially raw meat, because, I mean, let's be honest, Liver King was just chomping on liver and bone marrow.
And growth hormone.
Growth hormone. Apologies for interrupting the podcast. We know you're getting fully engrossed into this episode, and we really appreciate you stopping on the video on YouTube or on Spotify if you found us through one of the search pages. Make sure to leave a review and a subscription if you haven't already. But we just wanted to interject a point here that me and Nick have 15 years of coaching experience between us, and it's only getting better as we've got better guests on the podcast. The only way we can do that, though, is with the growth of our program that we've just released. We've got a 12-month Perform Well program, which has just dropped, and we'd love you guys to get involved in it. If you want to learn more details, make sure to head to the description, as we've got our website in there, which can give you a full overlay of the program. We're looking to help career-driven professionals, entrepreneurs, small business owners, and anyone dominate their life by improving their lifestyle. Me and Nick like to claim ourselves as experts in this area, and if you want to check out some of our other transformations, I'm sure you do. We've got some amazing people who have performed so well off the back of this program. Have a cracking day, and we really appreciate your time. Let's get back to the podcast.
He went back on steroids, didn't he?
But doesn't that say something for how people build muscle? That all you need is protein and then steroids.
Wow.
But he's eating a lot. But it was building a lot. And going to the carnivore diet, the microbiome is influenced by the bacteria in it. And people were saying there was good bacteria in the meat you're eating. But you also have to think you get good bacteria from other foods that you're consuming as well. For example, if you're having yogurts contain gut-healthy bacteria and flora that actually help with the digestive process.
I just like, really, really simply put, right, we are omnivores, right? Like, we've been proven that we can eat meat and fruit and veg. So why are we trying to completely get rid of one of them? It makes no sense. Like, we should be having a combination, or if you want to be vegan, fair enough. Just make sure you get nutrients in elsewhere. But cutting out vegetables when our body's designed to eat vegetables is stupid.
I'm trying to think when someone turned around and went, you know what, this is probably the best diet that's ever come into existence. Because a lot of the people that preach it, a lot of the wombles that preach it, are people that have done it before, they've gotten a result off it, and then suddenly it's their world.
I reckon there's a farmer called Tony, a Texas farmer. And he was like, you know what, I've got these fucking cows and these chickens, and we're going to eat just this off the land, that's it.
I find pints of cows and I'm going to eat them. Doris, I saw those cows, I'm going to eat them.
Cleaners?
Yeah, like that's, I can imagine that happening, and someone just went...
I think that's what happened. And I think, you know what, he felt pretty good because he replaced his pizza and beer with whole-based foods.
You know what? Okay, there's an argument there. So, do you think someone who is on a diet containing large amounts of ultra-processed foods is going to be in a better position when they switch over to having a carnivore diet?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. It depends on like the level of. You said ultra-processed. I'm guessing 100% of their food is ultra-processed. Then I think there will be a definite improvement in their health. For sure.
And the argument I want to make in that point, playing devil advocate here, I think people only see the change though because it's such a drastic. They're already in a very poor health marker position. So any change to that diet is going to change their blood markers and influence their health markers.
There's a book called Sapiens. Have you read Sapiens?
No.
Have you heard of it?
No.
Okay. It's quite a big book, but it explains like the human history, like how we went from hunter-gatherers to agricultural farmers, and then society grew from that, etc. And it highlighted the fact that when we went from the hunter-gatherer days of, you know, eating organ meats, etc., collecting berries, fruit, veg, etc., and we started growing agricultural food, then we started to see a decline in health, but an increase in population growth. So there's a direct correlation between, you know, highly processed agricultural foods potentially being negative for our health compared to having whole-based sources. So I'm not on the bandwagon of getting rid of processed at all, because it's very difficult, and it's difficult to like get it away in terms of like social life, etc. You're going to be surrounded by it all the time, so you don't want to get rid of it completely. But we should be focused on whole-based food sources most of the time.
But processed foods are just like slicing an onion.
Not necessarily.
That's processed.
Yeah,
ultra processed.
I'm not saying banana's bad for you, right? Because, you know, but like if you take a banana that's mashed versus a banana that's not ripened, they have a different effects on the body.
How much?
Well, one has more sugars, so one influences insulin differently. One's going to take a little bit more processing throughout the body, more fiber content. Same as potato. If you've got a jacket potato and then you eat that, as opposed to mashing it up into mashed potato, it's going to have a wildly different effect on the body. Doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that your body's going to have a different response to it. So,
for example, in the ways that we can clarify for the viewers, if somebody's going and having a mashed banana, would you then choose food pairing as an option of kind of helping? So say someone loves their banana mashed, you then look at pairing foods with it to help influence the response that you're getting. For example, if you have an insulin response, you normally want something like fibre to help taper in the insulin response a little bit.
So what you're doing is, there's nothing wrong with it, by the way. Yeah. Like, I've got nothing wrong with it, but... Yeah. You're basically taking the, like, say, mashed banana, for example, like slightly higher sugar, like release in the body, and you pair it with fiber. You're basically doing what the banana already had at the beginning by adding something else to slow it down when it already had that when it was completely whole. It's a bad example because banana's not bad for you, but
you do like your bananas, don't you? Because we did the bananas versus jelly babies thing in the past. Yeah, everyone loved that.
Let's compare like just sugar on its own to like a potato. Potato has sugar, but it's all the sugar's already been extracted from it. It's readily available, whereas a potato's got all the fiber to slow it down, all the nutrients, etc. That is better. That is going to be better for your body, 100%. Like, everyone knows how they feel when they have sugar versus jacket potato. 9 times out of 10, someone has like wine gums and be like, actually, I feel pretty shit. I've just crashed. Have a jacket potato and they feel energy sustained for a long period of time. Like, oh, I feel all right.
I'd have an argument, and then this is going to be a bit controversial. I'd have an argument that having sugar has a similar effect to what alcohol has on the body. Now, hold me out here. The alcohol gives you happiness for 20 minutes for an hour-long lull. Sugar does a similar thing. You have a 10-minute spike for a 30-minute lull.
Yeah.
You know, that's normally how, unless you're doing performance. If you're training and exercising, normally your body is craving the sugar. But for example, me and Nick sat down here now. If we sat there scoffing wine gums, you'd get a belter of a 10-minute podcast out of us. But the 10-minute podcast that would follow would be pretty shit because our energy levels would suddenly plummet back down again. So I argue that in terms of effects, not through scientific effects, but just how you feel, alcohol and sugar have similar effects on the body. Get me?
I can get what you mean.
You get what I mean?
I mean, obviously there's different effects.
It's a high for a lull.
Similar, like
but it's a high for a big lull. Same with like direct correlation of sugar. If you have a wine gum, you're going to spike in sugar and then have a lull.
Yeah, but if we're talking like 1 unit of alcohol, that would go through me slow as like I'll feel that longer than the sugar effects.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I'm saying.
Sure.
It's like 10 minutes for a sugar.
And at least your body can utilize the sugar, whereas the alcohol is like, fuck, what have you done?
It's like, why have you put this in my body?
Why have you done this to me?
100%. But if you've got any questions about carnivore dieting and maybe how sometimes you can taper it into your own lives, we can help out, but we'd highly advise just trying to build a diet that's structured around your lifestyle, something that works in, that contains all the macro and micronutrients, like your fiber, like your protein, like your carbohydrates. There's a reason balanced diets work for the majority of people. Give it a go, but if you're struggling, we're happy to help out, and we appreciate you guys watching the podcast. So please make sure you tune in next time. Make sure you follow us, make sure you subscribe, and if you're over on Spotify, give us those 5 stars. We appreciate every 5 star you give, and we're going to be dropping episodes every single Sunday at 8 o'clock, so stay tuned.
Ciao. That's it.